Welcome to JTA Making Moves. I'm Joyce Morgan Danford. Michael Blaylock is here and will join me in just a moment. We begin today in North Riverside, where a long-time project is now in the final stages. It's been nearly 2 years since construction began on the Better Jacksonville Plan project along McDuff Avenue. Making Moves, Bill Milnes takes us along as he checks out the improvements on this $15 million renovation.
The McDuff Avenue project extends 1.5 miles from Roosevelt Boulevard on the south end all the way to Beaver Street to the north. Improving this busy roadway was what you might call a tight fit. You see, McDuff was in desperate need of replacement.
You didn't have continuous sidewalks. The pavement was in pretty poor condition, and you had very bad drainage.
But the existing structures along this corridor made any significant expansion far beyond the $15 million budget and thus cost prohibitive. So a plan was designed to upgrade the current roadway and add a new turning lane here to improve traffic flow.
The traffic level before we started was at a D. We managed to bring it up to a C level. Would have liked to bring it up higher, but you have constraints within your right-of-way. Couldn't move the roadway out any further to provide additional lanes. In addition, you have CSX rail lines at both the north end and the south end, which obviously will reduce your traffic flow as the trains go through.
Some other key improvements here on McDuff include all new drainage throughout this entire project. There's new curbs, there's new gutters and sidewalks, and all 9 signalized intersections have been upgraded.
You had your old strain poles with your wires and everything. We've upgraded them to the new standards, which now are the mast arms. They're a lot more attractive looking, obviously. All new loop detectors in all the directions. So we've also got motion detectors mounted on a number of these because of the configuration of some of the intersections. That'll help pick up when vehicles are there or not there to activate the signals. That definitely helps improve the traffic flow.
Another feature of the McDuff project was the addition of this new town center, much like you find in other Jacksonville neighborhoods. The goal here was to give the McDuff area a sense of community.
The city has included their town center plan, which incorporates approximately 5 blocks of McDuff from I-10 right here north to Digna Street, with some additional landscaping, the sidewalk pavers, decorative crosswalks, and some historic lighting.
In North Riverside, Bill Milnes, JTA Making Moves.
Let's bring in JTA Executive Director and CEO Michael Blaylock. Now, Michael, the McDuff Avenue project, only $15 million. That's not an awful lot of money, and it's certainly not the most expansive project that JTA has done, but it certainly is important to the residents and the businesses in that area.
Yeah, Joyce, it's all about trying to spread the wealth around. I mean, certainly McDuff is a more mature neighborhood and area, very industrialized, but you have a lot of residents living in that area, a lot of small businesses. So they're just as deserving of investing those dollars in that community as we are in other areas.
And they're very excited to have it
They
there.
are, they are.
Yes, they are. With the McDuff Avenue project wrapping up, JTA is now turning its attention to the area near Jacksport on the city's north side for its latest project. Alta Drive between New Berlin Road and the 9A interchange will be expanded and improved. The $3 million project is being funded by the American Recovery and Reinvestment Act.
All local roads, Alta Drive, New Berlin Road, need to be upgraded. They're taking those 12-foot lanes, they're adding shoulders, they're resurfacing, making a stronger roadway, just making it safer, getting ready for all this traffic they expect from the port. The lanes will be widened to 12-foot, in addition there'll be shoulders.
Construction is expected to begin on Alta Drive later this month and be completed by the end of the summer. Just a couple of miles down the road from Alta Drive, another JTA project is moving swiftly along. You may remember on our last show, we showed you that one of the new bridges over the Broward River had been opened and traffic along Heckscher Drive had been shifted to the new span. Well, now another new bridge, this one over Dunn Creek, is getting ready to be opened on the same project. Traffic will be shifted in early April to that new span while a second matching bridge is built. When completed, there will be 2 lanes of traffic in each direction over all the bridges along Heckscher Drive. So there's a lot of construction going on, but you know what, Mike, this reminds me of what you've been telling me for a very long time, that when JTA started, that's exactly what it was. It was the Jacksonville Expressway Authority.
Yeah, it's a unique history. I mean, you think about it, we began in 1955 as the Expressway Authority. We are one of 6 organizations of this sort in the country. So we're fully engaged in all modes of transportation. So whether it's roads, bridges, public transport, soon, very soon, rail, it's going to be a very, very unique position for Northeast Florida to be in.
And absolutely, JTA is certainly unique in that. Now, let's shift gears. You've been doing a lot of public workshops, hearings. March 9th, you had some hearings. You do this pretty often, every 4 months. Why is it so necessary to keep transit on the focus point every 4 months?
Well, if we're serious about keeping our customers happy, then we have to listen to them. And so it's just part of that public outreach in terms of making certain that we understand precisely what our customers want.
A lot of people would say, however, though, even though you have these meetings, you probably already made up your mind on what you're going to do. That's really not true. You really do listen in these meetings. Kind of explain the process.
Well, and you're right, Joyce. I mean, for people to think that we've already have these preconceived notions, that's not really realistic. I really encourage them to attend those meetings because we are really trying to reach out and hear precisely what it is that they want us to do. Particularly what happens when we have these meetings, we have all kinds of data, all kinds of information in terms of who's riding the buses, where they're getting on, where they're getting off, but sometimes we don't always have the information in terms of why. You know, why are you making this trip? So the more information that we get from the customer, then the better we can plan these routes for them.
And we also are using community shuttles now a lot more.
And that's a kind of neat, I would say, a niche market that we're trying to create. And when I say niche market, you think about the Riverside Trolley, the Beach Trolley. Those types of services are created for a particular market. The community shuttle is being designed in that same family of services in terms of giving people direct service within the confines of their neighborhoods, 4 or 5 mile radius of their neighborhoods, where they can access the grocery stores, the pharmacy, and the shopping and medical appointments, and not have to get on a big bus, travel all the way downtown, and come back to the same area they just basically left from. So it's a unique niche market that we're trying to create, and we do really encourage the public to come out to these meetings and share their thoughts.
Absolutely. Thanks so much. Well, the JTA and Edward Waters College Student Ridership Program kicked off its 3rd year with the annual Tiger Hunt. Winners were announced during a special ceremony held at the EWC campus. The winning team, the Clue Finders, successfully found all 10 locations exclusively using JTA Transit. Since its inception, EWC students have taken more than 70,000 rides using the Tiger Ride program. Well, still to come on Making Moves, on our newest installment of Terry Casey Reports, we find out why Baker County may be the next hot growth area in our region. Then a little later, we get some culture as we go around town on JTA to some area museums. So stay with us.
JTA Making Moves, brought to you in part by Florida State College at Jacksonville and the Chestnut Law Firm. Justice because you deserve it.
My family's been in the same business for over 100 years. And I'd like to think I carry on some of that family tradition at my law firm. My father taught me, you help who you can help, you service every family like they're your own, and you always, always give the very best. That's what we try to do with the Chestnut Law Firm. We help those who need help. We fight for justice because you deserve it.
I want a good career, and I know that Florida Coast Career Tech is going to help me find it.
I'm confident that I will find a great job after completing the program. I've spoken with a lot of employers. Many of them will contact me prior to advertising for a position.
I hire Florida Coast Career Tech graduates because they're prepared with the skills that we need from day one.
I was so amazed how ready I was once I got hired. The training was identical to what I do every day. You can't get that training anywhere else.
Now you can see your very own Jacksonville Suns for free on Wednesdays and Sundays when you show your JTA Summer Youth Pass.
But that's not all. When you buy a JTA Summer Youth Pass for June for just $30, you get July absolutely free. Plus, we'll give you an August pass for half price.
That's right, 3 full months of unlimited travel on any JTA bus or trolley with your JTA Summer Youth Pass for just $45. And free admission to any Wednesday or Sunday Jacksonville Suns game with a valid pass.
So hit a home run with the Jacksonville Suns and the JTA. We're bringing you fun all summer long.
Anyone 18 years or younger is eligible for a JTA Summer Youth Pass. Get your pass today at the JTA administrative offices, the Rosa Park Transit Station, or online at jtafla.com.
JTA, part of your day, part of your community, part of your life.
Keep your eyes on Baker County. Quiet excitement over something that happened almost 10 years ago is now on the verge of bubbling over. When it does, Baker County may never be quite the same. In our latest installment of Terry Casey Reports, on the surface, things in Baker County are still very much as they have been for a long time, totally rural. But the question is, for how much longer?
People are attracted to Baker County because of its rural nature.
You want to know anything about Baker County, ask Darrell Register.
The slower pace of life, the lower cost of living, but at the same time, within 20 minutes, you've got all the amenities that a big city has to offer.
He heads the County Chamber of Commerce, he's Chief of Economic Development, and he's lived here all his life.
Baker County is a rural county. There's no doubt about that.
Baker County is rural because timber companies control so much land. They always have. But change is on the way because of a deal with one of those companies 8 years ago.
Well, Baker County is in for some huge changes as we move into the future.
In 2002, International Paper sold off 47,000 acres in the county. Developers control most of it now.
I think to begin with, we would look at some nice residential development, which could turn into some commercial later on, because you bring the people, the commercial will come.
John Kennedy is a bank regional vice president. He spent his life here. He and Darrell Register aren't worried about the growth they know is coming because Baker County's been planning for it.
Anyone living in the state of Florida now will operate under the growth management practices, which is to protect against wild growth.
And we have a plan to contain the high-density growth along the center of the county through the I-10 corridor.
To make sure the rural flavor isn't lost. The biggest challenge they face right now?
Number one would be the lack of jobs that we have here in Baker County.
Trail Ridge outside McClenny is one of the highest places around, symbolic perhaps of good things happening, like the Walmart distribution center behind me. It's the largest private employer in Baker County with 800 jobs. But too many other residents work outside the county, posing a challenge that may be a lot bigger than any Florida hill.
Well, you're talking about a little over 6,000 people that leave the county every day to go to work.
That's more than half the workforce. Plans include creating jobs and thinking regional.
When it comes to regional transportation, I feel that our county would be one of the biggest benefactors of that.
We're excited of the possibility to be a player at the table.
So what's their take on the future?
I think the future looks very bright for Baker County. I sure do. Very bright.
But I see Baker County of the future being a self-sustaining community where people who live here can work here.
For Making Moves, I'm Terry Casey.
And next on Terry Casey Reports, Terry visits Nassau County. We'll have that for you on our April show. Well, there was a time not that long ago that African Americans were not welcome in the front of any bus anywhere in this nation. Well, Making Moves' Bill Milnes tells us the story of a few brave men right here in Jacksonville who...
In 1960, 5 full years after Rosa Parks, then an unknown African-American seamstress, refused to give up her seat on a Birmingham, Alabama bus to a white passenger, blacks in Jacksonville were still relegated to sitting in the back of the bus. So in December of that same year, when 3 articulate and well-respected black men showed up behind the wheel of a Jacksonville City Coach Company vehicle, it made headlines. Times, it seemed, were about to change forever.
Whether we will be able to take the harassment and think like that, and that made a great difference. And if you ask me how I did it, I couldn't honestly. You ask me if I could do that now, no.
The men, Amos Ely, Charlie McRoy Jr., and Vanderlee James, were handpicked by the pastors in their respective churches to take on the challenge of breaking this long-standing color barrier here in the Deep South. 1 year later, 3 more men, Doc Thomas, William Toombs, and Charles Bordeaux, would join them. Together, these 6 men would blaze a historic trail for the hundreds of African Americans that would follow in their footsteps over the next 5 decades. But that trail was certainly not an easy road.
When I got to the park, Hemmings Plaza, the lady said I don't drive with the N-word drivers. And me knowing, I said, yes, ma'am. Closed the door, went on out to the end of the line. And come back, she was still there. She sit there for 3 hours, not riding with, and that was a great experience, but people had to get educated to black drivers. They had never had them here before.
So it's only fitting that 50 years after these men withstood unbearable ridicule and harassment based solely on the color of their skin, they were honored by those who followed them for their heroism and tolerance in the face of those insurmountable odds.
And I think it's so necessary, and it's way past time that we let them know how much we appreciate them.
But although days now are not perfect, they are far from where they were when the Jacksonville Six began their career.
There would not be us if it wasn't for them, because they went through the struggle. They were humiliated, they were degraded, and yet they were strong enough to endure it.
Here in 2010, many of the more than 300 bus operators at JTA are men or women of color. So too are the Superintendent of Transportation and the Chief Executive Officer. Surely something never dreamed possible in 1960.
And to see what we have now, look how far we've come.
In downtown, Bill Milnes, JTA, making moves.
Michael, a lot has really changed since 1960. You are the CEO of this authority now. Do you really think that what these men did helped pave the way for you to be here?
Oh, absolutely, Joyce. I mean, when you think about American history, I mean, we've lost so much time, so much productivity in this whole issue of racism, and it's just a terrible time in our history. But I would say clearly that not only those men, those 6 guys that took that bold step. I had an uncle who actually was part of the Tuskegee Airmen group. And so it's those men that took those brave steps to break down these color barriers to prove that they certainly had the intelligence and wherewithal to do just about anything.
And we will be doing a lot more of that as the nation progresses. We can see that things are changing, and there's still a big wide gap on what needs to change.
Clearly, Joyce, we all have red blood in us.
Yes, we do.
And we're all human beings. And until we get to that point, I think we'll get much further along the way.
Absolutely, Michael. When we come back today on Making Moves, it's culture time as we head to several area museums as we go around town with JTA. Plus, we'll have some final thoughts from Michael Blaylock. Stay with us.
I was looking to jumpstart my career, and Florida Coast Career Tech has the reputation of being the best.
If a student comes to Florida Coast Career Tech, they will end up with a career they love.
I've learned more about HVAC in 3 weeks than I have in my entire construction career.
I'm learning a lot here because the instructors are great.
Florida Coast Career Tech students are trained so well, they can hit the ground running.
Florida Coast Career Tech helped me do this.
My family's been in the same business for over 100 years. And I'd like to think I carry on some of that family tradition at my law firm. My father taught me, you help who you can help, you service every family like they're your own, and you always, always give the very best. That's what we try to do with the Chestnut Law Firm. We help those who need help. We fight for justice because you deserve it.
Now you can see your very own Jacksonville Suns for free on Wednesdays and Sundays when you show your JTA Summer Youth Pass.
But that's not all. When you buy a JTA Summer Youth Pass for June for just $30, you get July absolutely free. Plus, we'll give you an August pass for half price.
That's right. 3 full months of unlimited travel on any JTA bus or trolley with your JTA Summer Youth Pass for just $45. And free admission to any Wednesday or Sunday Jacksonville Suns game with a valid pass.
So hit a home run with the Jacksonville Suns and the JTA. We're bringing you fun all summer long.
Anyone 18 years or younger is eligible for a JTA Summer Youth Pass. Get your pass today at the JTA administrative offices, the Rosa Parks Transit Station, or online at jtafla.com.
JTA, part of your day, part of your community, part of your life.
Did you know? You need to realize Florida State Statute 316.015 means that motorists must yield to any city transit vehicle, or in this case a JTA bus.
So next time you see a bus pulling back into traffic, give the bus a break and yield.
Jacksonville's museums can be part of any visit to downtown and the surrounding area. They're on your way, or it can be the destination of choice thanks to JTA. We take you around town for a look at some of the museums and the unique look they offer into Jacksonville's cultural side. A night at the museum with dinosaurs and the whales of the Atlantic tales. Not quite the movie, but these are just two of the exhibits at MOSH, the Museum of Science and History, located on the South Bank. Families from near and far enjoy the variety of attractions that our museums offer. And so do school groups, which are a staple at most museums. The diversity in the programs is one reason some teachers bring their classes back to the Comer year after year.
And I think our city is lucky to have the museums that we have. The more it is easy for the people to get here, the better they can learn about art and learn about culture.
In fact, museums like the Comer want to become community friendly.
I think museums can really be a core asset for any community. I mean, and when I really think about families and the role that a museum can play, it's really a place where people get to use art to better understand the world around them. I think art is a great bridge for bringing people together.
Transportation to any of Jacksonville's museums is an easy ride. JTA either has a bus, the Skyway Express, or a trolley going your way. MoCA, the Museum of Contemporary Art, is located next door to the main library downtown and offers several intriguing exhibits, including a spectacular compilation of works featuring Marilyn Monroe. Just downtown at the corner of Davis, State, and Union Streets is the Ritz Theater and LaVille Museum. Here you can get a look at Jacksonville's rich cultural diversity and the contributions of African Americans in the development of our city, our nation, and in fact, our world.
We're one of the special treats that people often seek out to come to Jacksonville and see what's going on at the Ritz. It's extremely important to have public transportation as a means of people coming to the Ritz, because we present programming that we feel is accessible to everyone in the community, from preschoolers to senior citizens, students, people who are visiting from out of town.
Down Beach Boulevard, visitors will simply be amazed at the offerings for the young and the young at heart at the Children's Hands-On Museum. There are plenty of laughs during this unique time of exploration for kids. And because JTA is nearby, the family can plan an outing to capture all that Jacksonville has to offer to satisfy the appetite of the artistically and culturally inclined.
Seeing it in books is one thing, but seeing it in person is a whole nother direction for them, and it makes it more come alive to them.
Time now for some final thoughts with Michael Blaylock.
Joyce, I want to take a few moments to pay tribute to the family of Councilman Joseph Forche Sr. Mr. Forche served in the City Council for over 20 years, elected in 1971, became president of the City Council in 1981. He was considered the great negotiator, well known in the North Side community. He represented the North Side. He represented all of Jacksonville, quite frankly. A strong advocate for business, a strong advocate for Jacksonville. So I really want to pay tribute to his family, his sons, his daughter, grandchildren, and his wife for just a great legacy, a great human being, a great contributor to our community.
And Mr. Blaylock, you were really excited about the 50th anniversary of the Black bus operators.
Yes, and actually we're going to be having a more formalized celebration in December. That was the time that they were actually hired, in December of 1960. But I want to go a little step further and pay tribute also to those 6 individuals who made that sacrifice to break the color barrier, to be a professional operator in this community. And the names of Amos Ely, Charles McRoy, Charles Bordeaux, Mr. William Toombs, Vanderlee James. These are just tremendous gentlemen. Doc Thomas, those were the first 6 that became a part of that organization. And just keep in mind that these men joined the company, they wore the same uniforms, but they were paid less. And they were housed in separate facilities on the same campus with their colleagues. And that's just how tough it was. So not only did they get it at work, but as they patrolled and drove throughout the communities of Jacksonville, they withstood a lot of derogatory terms and references and just humiliation. But these are the shoulders for whom we stand. And we often talk about American history. We're familiar with the great names of George Washington and Thomas Jefferson, but we don't hear about the unsung heroes such as these men, and men and women all over the country who made tremendous sacrifices to make our country better. So our hats off to those 6 men for taking on that challenge and their families.
The grassroots efforts.
That's it.
Absolutely. And that will wrap up this edition of Making Moves. We're very glad you could join us today, and we hope you'll make us part of your Sunday must-see TV. We're here every second and fourth Sunday at noon or anytime on the web at jtafla.com. For Michael Blaylock and the entire Making Moves team, I'm Joyce Morgan Danford. We'll see you the next time we're Making Moves.